Welcome back. In this episode, we will build category management. We already know the CRUD pattern from products, so this will move faster. We will also wire up toast notifications so users get feedback after creating, updating, or deleting a category, using the same front-end toast approach we used in products. Open your terminal and run these 3 commands that will create the category controller and the store and update request classes. All 3 of them we use on the back-end side of managing the category CRUD operations. The -- resource will give our controllers 7 methods that we need for CRUD operations. Finish with creating the 2 request classes. Now let's update the request classes first. I will add the rules in each of the request classes to tell Laravel how to validate the values coming from the user's inputs on front-end side. Notice unique categories name. This rule checks that no other category in the table already has this name. We do not want duplicates. Now for the update category request class, make authorized to true, and then add these rules. Import the rule helper class first. For the update request, the unique rule needs to ignore the current category's own name. Otherwise, updating a category without changing the name would fail validation because the name already exists. Rule: unique categories name - ignore $this - category does exactly that. The $this - category refers to the category being updated, which Laravel injects automatically from the route because of route model binding. Alright, let's build out our category controller. This is the file that handles everything our categories page does, listing them, creating new ones, editing, and deleting. For methods, and we'll go through them one at a time. First up, the index method. This is what runs when someone visits our categories page. Notice the return type. We're returning an Inertia response, not a blade view. That's the whole point of Inertia. Our backend hands data straight to a React component. Inertia render takes 2 things. The first is the path to our React page. In this case, categories /index, which lives in our pages folder. The second is the data we want to send to that page as props. Now look at how we grab the categories. withCount products adds a products_count column to each result. The product relationship on our category model tells Laravel exactly how to count them. We'll display this number in the UI so users can see how many products are in a category before they decide to delete it. An order by name just sorts them alphabetically, so the list always shows in a clean, predictable order instead of jumping around. Next, the store method. This runs when we submit the create category form. The first thing to spot is the type hint, store category request. That's a form request class, and it handles all our validation rules for us before this method even runs. If the data is bad, Laravel kicks it back automatically. We never even get here. So by the time we reach this line, we know the data is already clean. We call $request - validated, which gives us only the fields that pass validation. Nothing extra, nothing sneaky. We pass that straight in a category, create, and boom, our new category is saved. Then we redirect back to the categories index. And this matters. We redirect instead of returning data directly. It follows the post redirect get pattern. So if the user hits refresh, they don't accidentally submit the form a second time. The update method looks almost identical, but there's one magic ingredient. See that second parameter, category $category? That's route model binding. Laravel sees the category ID in the URL, automatically goes to the database, finds that exact category, and hands it to us as a ready-to-use model. We didn't write a single line to fetch it. From there, it's simple. We call update with our validated data. The changes get saved, and we redirect back to the list. Same pattern as before. And finally, destroy, the delete method. Again, route model binding does the heavy lifting, so $category is already the exact one we want to remove. We just call delete, and it's gone from the database. Then, you guessed it, we redirect back to the index. And remember that product count we set up earlier? This is where it pays off. Users can see how many products they'd be affecting before they ever hit this delete button. And that's our entire category controller. 4 clean methods, validation handle for us, route model binding doing the lookups. This is the Laravel way. Next, let's jump over to the React side and actually display all of this. Now let's build the front end for our categories. Good news, this page is actually simpler than the products page because categories don't have an image upload to deal with. It's just a name and a description. So let's create the file. We're putting this in the pages folder under categories and naming it index.tsx. Remember, that path lines up exactly with what we passed to Inertia. Render on the backend, categories/index. That's how Inertia knows which component to load. Next, we extract a type called category withCount at the top of the file. This is a TypeScript type alias. It combines our base category interface with the extra products underscore count field that Laravel's withCount adds. Using a named alias keeps the props interface clean, and we get to reuse it later in our delete function too. And our props are simple, just an array of those categories, coming straight from the controller. Here's our component. We destructure categories right out of the props. Then we set up 2 pieces of local state. Remember to import the useState hook from React. ShowForm controls whether our dialog is open or closed. And editing holds the category we're currently editing, or null if we're creating a brand new one. That single value is how the same form handles both create and edit. Then we call useForm. This is where Inertia really shines. We give it our starting values, an empty name and description, and it hands back everything we need. Data holds the current values, set data updates them, post, and put send the requests. Processing tells us when a request is in flight, errors holds any validation messages, and reset clears the form back to empty. Now 3 small helper functions to manage that dialog. Open create resets the form to empty, clears the editing state, and opens the dialog, a clean slate for a new category. Open edit is the opposite. We pass in an existing category, fill the form with its current values, store it in editing, and open the dialog. Notice that? On the description, if it's null in the database, we fall back to an empty string because our text input can't handle null. And close form. Rather than repeating reset, hide the form, and clear editing in 3 different places, we pull it into one function. In a second, you'll see we pass close form directly to the dialog. So even clicking the backdrop or pressing escape resets everything properly. Okay, now the actual markup. We start with head to set the browser tab title to categories. Now let's set up the sidebar link so users can actually access our categories page. I will use the tag icon for the categories, so let me import it here and then use it on the main navigation items. Change both the title of the ref and the icon. Now add the category's resourceful route. Actually, we had it before. We just need to uncomment it and import the categories controller here. Now go back to the browser and try to access the categories page. You should be able to see it, and it should be blank. Now, let me add the breadcrumb at the bottom of the file. This is how to add a breadcrumb now. Go back to the browser and refresh to see it in action. Then a padded container and a header row. We use flex with justify between a push the title to the left and our add category button all the way to the right. And that button's on click calls openCreate, the function we just wrote to open a blank form. Now we have the title on left and the button to the right, which is what we wanted. Now the container with rounded border, which will contain the table that lists all our categories. Now our table. The header is straightforward. Name, description, products, and actions. Notice the products and actions columns are right aligned, which just looks cleaner for numbers and buttons. In the body, we handle the empty state first. If there are 0 categories, we show a single friendly row spanning all 4 columns. No categories yet. Add one to get started. Always worth handling that case, so a fresh install doesn't look broken. On browser here we do not see the empty state because we had the manually added category on previous video. Let's clear the table from database so we can see how the empty state looks like. Then we map over our categories. Each one becomes a row, and we use cat.id as the key, so React can track them. We show the name, then the description, again with that. Fallback so empty descriptions show a clean dash instead of blank space. Then the product count, straight from that withCount we set up on the back end. And in the last cell, 2 icon buttons. The pencil calls open edit with this category, and the trash icon calls handle delete. Notice the trash icon is styled with text destructive. That red color is a visual cue that this is a dangerous action. And finally, the dialog itself, the pop-up form for both creating and editing. Its open prop is tied to our show form state, and on open change is wired to close form, which is that backdrop and escape handling I mentioned earlier. The title is dynamic. It reads edit category if we're editing, otherwise add category. One form, 2 purposes, driven by that editing value. Inside, 2 fields. Each one is a label, an input bound to our form data, and an input error that shows the matching validation message if the backend sends one back. Now, a small but important detail, Notice the label IDs are cat name and cat desk, not just plain name and desk like we use on a product form. Namespacing them this way avoids any collision if both forms ever end up on the same page down the road. And at the bottom, 2 buttons. Cancel just calls close form. The submit button is the smart one. It's disabled while processing is true, so users can't double submit. And its label changes too, saving, while the request is running, otherwise update or create, depending on the mode. Here's our submit handler. First, we call prevent default to stop the browser from doing its normal full-page form submission. We want Inertia to handle it. Then we check that editing value. If it's set, we're updating, so we fire a put request to that category's URL. If it's not, we're creating, so we post to the category's endpoint. And look at those onSuccess callbacks. They call toast.success first, then close form. Here's the thing. Our backend just is a plain redirect with no flash message. So that little success pop-up fires entirely on the front end, triggered by Inertia's onSuccess event. Clean separation. The server saves the data. The front end handles the feedback. Now the delete handler. And this one has an important guard at the top. If the category still has products in it, we show a toast.error explaining the problem and return early. We never even ask for confirmation. We use toast.error instead of a plain alert because it matches our app style and dismisses on its own. Now, the database would actually reject this deletion anyway, thanks to our foreign key constraint. But catching it here gives the user a friendly, actionable message. Reassign your products first, instead of an ugly error. If the category is empty, we ask for a quick confirmation, and then fire the delete through Inertia's router. Let's do a thorough test here on the category CRUD. Category management is done. We followed the same pattern as products: controller, form requests, routes, TypeScript types, and a React page. The more you follow this pattern, the faster you get. In the next episode, we build the POS screen, the most exciting part of the app. A grid of products you can click to add to the cart, with a search box to find products quickly. See you there.